you need the goals, you need the positivities and all those things to help keep you going, because while you're going through the process, you need something to hang on to. Like, the stronger the goal, the easier it is to fight through whatever challenges that you're going through, because then you ain't gonna quit. If the why is strong enough, then you won't have any why nots. Welcome to 3D Media Live. We are your hosts. I'm Akiva.
And I'm Dmitry.
Thank you for tuning in. We are on episode 5. Can you believe
Episode 5. Time flies by.
Man, we getting it. We're moving forward. We're making it happen, and it's been great.
That's how it's supposed to be.
You got a favorite episode?
Forward.
You got a favorite episode so far?
I kind of like all of them. Last one was very informative for real estate agents. I think that was like our expertise in real estate. First one was great, just getting to know each other, getting to know the format of the podcast, talking about the company in general, spirituality. Kind of liked all of them, to be honest.
Yeah. I think the one that I liked the most was the first one.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause I think we talked about a lot of different things. It was kind of like that introduction. And, I like the first. But I like all of them, too, like you said.
Hopefully each one will get better.
I think so. And, I think we're filling it out. I think we're learning the flow. We're learning how to connect on different things. It's good. It's going to grow. Right?
Yeah.
It's episode 5, right? So episode 5 of, I don't know, hundreds, hopefully, So,
God willing.
Yeah, man. So I think it'd be good for us to talk about entrepreneurship. Both of us, we have some experience there in entrepreneurship, but it's also a thing that a lot of people are trying to figure out. Okay, well, first of all, how do I start a business? Or even before I even start a business, what is the mindset that I need to have to start a business? Why do I want to start a business? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the pitfalls? Should I start one? Does it make sense for me? Right? What direction? Because when you think about entrepreneurship, it's so broad.
Right.
It's like entrepreneurship as the umbrella, but then there's so many different legs and branches underneath that, and I think it'd be good for us just to maybe talk about, how some of your challenges, how did you start, your business, your mindset behind it, and we can just kind of build and go from there. I think the audience would enjoy, diving a little bit deeper in some of those topics.
Yeah, I think that's a good topic in general. Business, everything we do here is revolving around entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Whether they're real estate agents, they're lawyers, they're plumbers, they're AC guys, they're all running a business. And the whole country is built on entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And it's very important in our society to have a healthy entrepreneur culture where it's friendly for entrepreneurs. They know what they're doing and they're not going out of business. They're not giving up early. There's a lot of difficulties with beginning a business, a lot of difficulties with growing a business, a lot of difficulties with sustaining it. And let's try to unpack them one by one and see what that looks like.
Yeah. Let me ask you this first. Like, what does entrepreneurship or starting a business, what does that do for your city? What does that do for the community around you? Is it beneficial, right, to have multiple businesses? Are we really contributing to the growth of a city? How do you feel about that?
No, I think it's obviously a good thing in my mind because it just creates opportunities for people around them, opportunities for new services, opportunities for new employment, opportunities for new revenue streams that didn't exist before.
Right.
It just depends. I think it's not for everyone. I have to start the conversation with that. I don't think everybody's built out to be an entrepreneur. You have to have a certain set of, I think, kind of talents to be an entrepreneur, although everyone should try. But I think some will succeed more than others just based on their character traits. I think it's probably better suited for people that tend to lead and tend to take responsibility for their time. Although I do think that everyone can grow to kind of fill that role. but some will be
like
natural.
even if they don't have like the built-in innate
Yes.
character traits, you feel that people can develop it.
Yeah. They'll just feel a little bit uncomfortable doing it, but they certainly can succeed and get it done. But maybe they'll achieve more being like highly successful in a bigger company, in a bigger team, instead of running it themselves. It just really depends.
Yeah.
Or some people are suited to be scientists. That there's like not much you can do as an entrepreneur if you're into science.
Sure.
Although there are always opportunities to make money and create a new business, but some people are genuinely suited more for different type of task,
Yeah.
different mission in life.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Why do you think people have fears on starting a business?
Because it's very challenging. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and I think every entrepreneur can share their experiences of failures along the way. I don't think many people can say they tried once and they've succeeded. It's usually a lot of failed attempts before they get to a point where something's working out right.
Yeah.
And myself included, I've gone through a share of challenges where I had to start over, and eventually things worked out, but it's never smooth sailing. I actually saw an interesting video the other day. They were displaying how inertia and speed is different if you have two balls side by side, and maybe we can put this up on the screen as I'm saying this. And then one has kind of dips going up and down, and the other one is just a flat line, and they both have same exact angle going down.
Mm-hmm.
So guess which one goes faster? The one that's going flat down, or the one that goes up and down?
I would say what goes down fast, maybe the one that's straight.
Nope, it's the other way around.
Huh.
And it's very interesting to see. It's almost counterintuitive, because there's the one that's straight has no obstacles to just go down, but the one goes ups and down. Every time it goes down, it actually creates extra speed, and even though it has to travel back up, it doesn't lose that velocity.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, yeah, you got to show me the...
I'll send you a clip. We'll put it up on the
Yeah,
screen.
that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's a life lesson. I think you have to be, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be ready for failure. You have to accept that it's like somewhat of gambling, but the right type of gambling.
Yeah.
If a person goes to casino thinking he's going to win, that's not really the right mindset. I mean, we shouldn't go to casinos in the first place. Casinos are a bad place, in my opinion. But let's say if a person goes to a casino knowing, okay, I've committed X amount of dollars for entertainment purposes, and whatever will come out of it,
Yeah.
I accept it. Kind of same thing with the business. And I'm not saying like you go into a business thinking, okay, I accept that it's going to fail. No, I accept that my initial investment, that's already gone the moment I start the business.
Right.
I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm just here to do what I started out to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep thinking, how will I get the money back? When will I get the money back? You keep getting distracted from your task at hand. I think part of the key in successful business is to enjoy the process.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You know, the process is where the man is made. That's where all the lessons are learned. That's where you make the mistakes. And I think a lot of times when we set our minds to do something, a lot of times we can be very end result focused. And, you know, I just want to get there. I just want to have the success. I want to make this certain income goal, or I want to be able to do this. And we end up spending so much time focusing on the end goal or where we're going or whatever the goal is, and we miss all the beauty that's in the middle. And I think you have to have you just have to have a certain mindset, a certain understanding and awareness that the middle, the process, is necessary. You got to do it. You got to go through it. Like that's what it is. You got to go through it. You know?
And that goes back to what I was saying with the initial investment. If somebody has a capital investment, they keep focusing, when will I make that money back?
Yeah.
Or they start missing, I made $50,000 investment, I need to get that money back. And then they're being distracted from what's right in front of them. All the opportunities to learn new skills, all the opportunities to meet new people, and just literally enjoying the whole process from beginning to end. I think stress in general, it can be beneficial, but it cannot be to a point where it's preventing a person from thinking clearly. It has to be certain lack of not giving, you know, not thinking about the negative consequences.
Yeah.
Not being reckless, just not thinking. Like if you look at top entrepreneurs in the world, Elon Musk, for example, I've heard him say many times, like people ask him, "Didn't you think you're like trying to bite down too big of a pie?" Like when you're juggling SpaceX, Tesla, other companies that he has, so many ways to fail, especially SpaceX. That was one of the craziest startups that, like, private space travel.
Yeah.
With all the rockets, they can explode, and they do explode. They just rename explosions to rapid disassembly. I forgot what the exact term is, but he said you don't think about that.
Yeah.
You just think of what your goal is, and you work on it.
That's it. That's it. I heard somebody say this, and maybe I heard a lot of people say it, but I think I think every entrepreneur, every future entrepreneur can relate. It's like you ask someone who's like, how did you become successful? And I love the response of, I just failed more times than you.
That's a good way
Right,
of putting it.
right.
Yeah. Lots of truth in that.
Yeah, like you think about people who are maybe, not as successful as, you got person A who's not successful yet, right? But he's been grinding for a couple years, but he hasn't reached that point where he's considered like successful business owner yet. Then you got person B who's very successful, multiple businesses and things like that, and the person asks, like, man, well, what's the difference between the two? How come I'm not? Man, I just made more mistakes than you. That's all. I just made more mistakes, and I think that's a very, very healthy mindset to have, being an entrepreneur and getting ready to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And like even you go back to the idea with SpaceX, one of the reasons why they're so successful is because they do a lot of launches and a lot of them fail. But each time the launch fails, they learn something and they're ready for the next launch, and it's improved and it's rapid growth.
Yeah.
That's not to be scared is, I think, step number one. Not to have fear. And it's natural to have fear, but it's very important to know that, like I said originally, once you commit to it, that's just a one-way path. There's no way back.
Right.
A lot of people give up in those first few days.
Sure.
And it's very challenging. And I think some of the best success stories are of people that had no choice to go back. Again, myself included. I remember, I think I spoke about this a little bit in our first podcast. I got stuck in a situation where I had no opportunity to just say, you know what, I'll try something else. I was between, I just left a very comfortable job at the time, and my wife was pregnant. I didn't have too much in my saving account, and was like, literally, if I don't succeed, this is not going to work out.
Yeah.
Not going to end very well.
Yeah.
And it really motivated me to push forward. I had no other way.
So that's a healthy fear.
It's
Right.
it's not even fear as much as it is motivation.
Yeah.
It becomes motivation. Like, I don't think of it as fear. I think that's just the one way out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you too. But I also think some people can be in that situation and be fearful of thinking like, man, like, what if this doesn't work? And I think they could use that and be like you said, like, okay, I don't have no other option. It ain't no going back.
Yeah.
Right. And so they use that fear that they had as motivation. Like, okay, let me take all these thoughts. I can't be afraid, because I even think certain people can get in those spaces like you were in. It's like, man, my wife is pregnant. I got this. I just left my job. And, and then they can start thinking like, man, like, okay, well, what if it doesn't work?
Those thoughts crept into my mind.
Yeah.
But I did not entertain them as viable options.
Right.
I couldn't even think that's an option if this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because at some point you just have to be kind of like a horse in a racetrack.
Right. Got to put the blinders.
And
Yeah.
you just straight up focused. There's the finish line.
Yeah.
I fall down, doesn't matter. I pick back up, I go, because there's no going back. It's a one-way street.
Right.
And a lot of people that are very comfortable and they start a business, it usually not having that blindfold hurts them, because then they've tracked back on anytime there's kind of pushback, they stop and say, I shouldn't go forward. There's another picture that I would love to put up on the screen. I think it just speaks volumes. Like a picture is worth 1,000 words. I saw a picture of a guy like drawing. He's like mining for diamonds, and they show him giving up, and it was like
3 feet from gold.
3
Yeah.
feet from
I love those.
It's really like that. It's really like that. Sometimes we have to push ourselves a little bit more beyond our comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's those negative thoughts, they're toxic. I say that a lot. Negative thoughts, depression, they're just all the toxicity that you should eliminate from your life immediately, as fast as you possibly can. Just don't think of negative things. Think of the positive things. Like when I'll give you the exact tools that I've used in my life. When I did think, the thoughts started to creep up, because it's unavoidable to have the negative thoughts, but it is avoidable not to dwell on them.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to dwell on them.
Right.
So when the thoughts come into my mind, like I remember like I said, my wife is pregnant, I have a small baby, in a very desperate situation. What if? And the first thing I did was, oh, thank God I have a daughter. Thank God my wife is pregnant. Thank God I have a roof over my head. And once you start appreciating the things that you currently have, all of a sudden those fears start to walk away.
Yeah.
Because then you also start to see the bigger picture. And I'm a man of faith, just as you are. And I think it's very important. I think it helps a lot being an entrepreneur, knowing that there's something beyond our efforts.
Yeah.
Because a person sometimes can try all he wants, and he will just it's not meant to be. And the opposite can be true as well. A person can try very little, and when it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I'm not saying that like people should have omens or anything like that. We should always think that it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
We should always believe that there is a higher power that wishes for my success.
Right.
And try your absolute hardest until it hurts. And then when it doesn't work, because sometimes it's not meant to be, when it doesn't work, you go back and say, oh, it never was meant to work in the first place. However, I needed this process.
Yeah.
What can I take out of it? Because the next opportunity is right behind the corner.
Yeah.
I just switch gears and I try again at something else.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I was also thinking about while you were talking, how we're talking about like the process, right? Like the process, enjoying the process is very, very, very important. But also focusing on the goals, like being goal oriented as well, because you need the positivities and all those things to help keep you going, because while you're going through the process, you need something to hang on to. You need the things that you're fighting for, because you're like the stronger the goal, the easier it is to fight through whatever challenges that you're going through, because then you ain't gonna quit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you just got to be like, it's the goals. It's being, focusing on the goals as well, to just give you that extra strength, just to keep on going, focusing. Okay, I'm grateful for what I have, right? But also I got a dream though.
Yes.
And I think that's important, because again, if you don't know what you're fighting for, then it's going to be so easy to just give up in battle. Right. And so I think figuring out, okay, why am I doing what I do? What's my goals? Who am I fighting for? Right. If the why is strong enough, then you won't have any why nots. Like there'll be no why nots when the going gets tough.
I think you nailed that point. Yeah, 100%.
Because it's like, well, maybe I don't do it.
That's why, like, some of the best enterprises out there, like the biggest success stories, always had a very strong mission to begin with.
Yeah.
It's usually should be always, I think, revolving around helping others.
Sure.
One way or another, improving society, improving the world.
Yeah.
And I watch a lot of Shark Tank. I
Yeah,
love Shark
me
Tank.
too. I love it too.
And in Shark Tank, I see like the sharks. They oftentimes single out the entrepreneurs that have strong mission statement or strong goals, because they know just from experience that there's higher likelihood of them succeeding
Yeah.
if they're fighting for something that's very important, like cause oriented. And also similarly, they do look for a trait that somebody that's coming out of like difficult life,
Yeah.
and it's also evident based on like where they are in their business. They usually give the backstory to how they started. I love watching that too, because there's always like that. You can draw a parallel. You can see the patterns. And it's funny that I've noticed that a lot of the time somebody comes out saying, I came from an Ivy League school, I graduated with a super high degree, and I went straight into the business. The sharks all of a sudden, for some reason, lose interest. Although it's counterintuitive, you might think, oh, they're the most qualified. But I think they probably know that there's easier way for them to just, if it doesn't work, they say, okay, I'll just go get a job.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
have all these credentials. A lot of people want me to work for them.
Yeah.
It's easy to back out of those things unless they have a really strong purpose or they already have a history. They even got the degree because they were struggling in life to
Right.
begin
Right.
with.
Yeah. I think the sharks they want to work with people who have already like got their feet dirty. You know,
Yes.
like their hands are already dirty. They're grinding. Like they want to work with people. I see. They got some battle scars already. You know what I mean? Like they're already in it. One of the questions they're always asking is like, how much of your own money have you put in already?
Yes.
Like and depending on what they say, that person is invested.
Yes.
Right? Because when you invest your own money, that means you invest a piece of yourself, and that means that you're in. They want to know are you all in? And I think a lot of times when people are just coming out of college, they're not in yet. They don't even know what in means,
Right.
So yeah, I feel you on that.
I've also seen like situations where they would decline a guy, like everybody would turn him down, and then the person would just start crying or something.
Yeah.
Like say, no, this is it. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And that they change their mind on it.
Yeah.
Because they see, that guy is, even though the basic idea of the business might not be as lucrative, but the person themselves is strong enough
Yeah.
to make something work.
They got the passion.
They got the passion. Even if the idea itself will not work out, you can always change the idea.
Yeah.
You can always adjust your business. But what you cannot do is you cannot replace that mentality. If it's not there, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like you cannot fix that. I mean, what I'm saying is if a person has the wrong mindset, even the best idea might still fail.
Sure.
If the person has the right mindset and have the wrong idea of the business, he can always fix it. He will find a way to survive.
I agree.
You have to be like a survivor.
I agree.
And like I've been saying before as well, like you have to know when to pivot and you have to know when to change your course of your business, adapt to new ideas. And that's becoming more and more and more relevant when you go into a recession. It becomes more and more relevant. The technology changes around you, and you have to always find new ways how to improvise and stay relevant.
Let me ask you this. You hit something I think that's important to talk about. Like, how do you know when to pivot, though? Like people have these dreams, these big goals. Like, this is my dream, right? But then it's taking them some time, right? It's failure after failure after failure, right? But then somebody would tell them, it's like, no, you might have to pivot, meaning like you might have to change a lot of, maybe the dream is not, maybe it's not a good direction for you. Like how a lot of entrepreneurs don't want to hear that because it's something that they've been able to develop in their mind. It's the dream. Like, how do you tell a dreamer that they may have to pivot?
Well, it's a very tough thing to do because on one side, a lot of people will discourage you. This is not going to work.
Right.
And if everybody would listen to those voices, no businesses would ever succeed or be developed. Right. On the other hand is you cannot be overly invested. You cannot be overly committed either. You have to find the balance when you try and hard. And when you start to realize it's just not meant to be, You have to be open-minded, reevaluate what are you doing that's wrong, and maybe there's something that you need to maybe small adjustment.
Yeah, small tweak.
Start with small tweaks. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, drop everything. Okay, I'm gonna start chasing a new dream. No, maybe if I just make a slight adjustment to my services, I try target different people. I remove lower the pricing, improve the production process, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a dramatic change. You start with small changes and see if they work. And even if you're successful, you're always supposed to do that analysis.
Yeah.
You cannot just stay status quo, because status quo does not work.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental principle of life. Life always needs movements. If you stay in the same line, that's only dead people have, that just flat line. Nothing's moving. You have to have movements. You have to have some kind of adjustments constantly. You cannot over adjust. It's like that's the key is the balance. And I think that what separates somebody from being good and somebody great and somebody incredible is knowing that proper balance.
Yeah.
When to make the adjustments, how much to adjust, and when to move forward altogether. Like not forward, move to a different different direction altogether.
Got it.
Sometimes you do have to scrap some things, but even when you scrap, you can take a lot of the fundamental things that you've built.
Right.
Whether usually it's like connections. You already made so many connections.
Right.
You can just reapply them to, like, you've found good vendors, reapply them to a different business idea.
Yeah.
Let's give some concrete examples. Let's say somebody decides to become a locksmith, right? So he learns how to open doors. And in that process, he gets a bunch of tools to work with the door. And he works hard. He sees too much competition. Even his time is not worth it. Even though he's making money, sometimes making money is not ultimately the right thing, the proper end result. You always have to see what is my opportunity cost. Maybe I can make more money doing something else with the same exact tools.
Yeah.
Or maybe add a little bit more to my toolbox and start doing something else. And just the fact that you already know how to use the hardware, how to do something with the door, and then the same person all of a sudden goes there and sells doors because he's an expert on locks.
Yeah, yeah.
And he makes way more money selling doors, or he becomes a construction a contractor. And I actually see this all the time. I have a few friends of mine now started off as customers. That one friend, if he's watching, I don't want to mention names, but he started off with carpet cleaning, although he actually didn't completely stop doing carpet cleaning, but he started with carpet cleaning. He realized he was a successful carpet cleaner, but he realized he'll make more money doing garage doors.
Okay.
And he switched, and he put the carpet cleaning on hold. He didn't kill it. He started making way more money doing garage doors, because ultimately the thing that he learned really well is how to service people.
Yeah.
And how to work with homeowners.
Okay.
And then he just transitioned. He used the same truck, just got a little bit different tools, learned a new craft, made a lot more money because there was bigger opportunity there. Then once that became more successful, went back to the carpet cleaning and hired somebody else to manage it. So it's like, that's a great example.
That is a great example, and it'd be really cool if we could talk to him. You know what I mean? I don't.
If he's down.
Yeah, I don't. Or maybe if he's not down, maybe we can just sit down with him and maybe just record him on audio, just so we can pull and extract maybe just some of the mindset. Because I think just what you shared is those are the examples and the stories that really, really inspire a lot of people. Because it's because what you said, you just kind of. You just kind of made me think man, I wish I could hear the story, because you started on one track and then you totally pivot. It's like a totally different industry, but then there's a few same components, right? And he's successful. How did he know when to pivot? You know what I'm saying? So just stories like that are just always good to hear, whether we get them on or not. But it's just those are really cool.
In my mind, the best examples are where you don't really need to relearn. It's a small change, like adding services.
Got it.
We've done a lot of that. We started off with just one service, like virtual tours or website. I forgot which one. We started with websites, actually. And then did virtual tours, and then start kind of combining, adding services to fill the gaps in between, doing photography, videos, and stuff like that. You find new opportunities. I look for new opportunities all the time. I don't know if you overheard me talking on the phone yesterday about doing like security cameras.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
already in the camera business.
Yeah.
To do security cameras, it's like we know we have all the skill
So
sets.
just to build on to it.
Just an extra service we can offer our customers. Why not?
Yeah.
If there's already demand. Obviously, you don't want to distract yourself too much from your core, but if it's something that is like low hanging fruit, why not just grab it?
Let's talk about that, Dmitry. How do you know you got too much going on? It's like, because there is a such thing as burnout. There is a such thing of having too many focuses. You got, I do this, I'm going to do this, right? We got entrepreneurs out here doing 27 different things, and it's like, I've also heard of different concepts of being like, like focus on the one thing. What is just that one thing? And then people are able to apply that mindset to be successful. But then there are also people who say, okay, there is a one thing, but I'm also doing some other things. I'm able to be successful, doing multiple things. What's your mindset on that? And like, how do you know if you just got too much going on or not?
Well, it's a difficult thing to know. To be honest, I'm struggling with that all my life.
Okay.
When to know, I'm still learning that balance.
Okay.
But the few things that I can share are, I have had experiences where I would try to switch too prematurely, and then I would realize that the core service or core thing that I was doing prior is starting to be neglected. So when you start seeing either the sales are dropping and your core skill or core service, then you refocus on that. But when you see it's somewhat stable or it's growing, which is ideal, even without your involvement, that's when you can dedicate your resources to adding new things. So in my mind, the ultimate goal of any business owner should always be automation. The faster you can automate your business where your involvement is less critical,
Okay.
the faster you can focus on other new opportunities to eliminate themselves from the equation where the business can be healthy and thriving on its own.
Yeah.
Because then if that's in place, and that means finding the right people to manage certain tasks in the business.
Right.
And I think we've discussed it earlier. I'm a big believer in assembly line, not to have dependence on one individual in particular, to have one person expert in one field, another person expert in another field. When you achieve that autonomy, then you can add other services on top of it. And I think this is where you have the differentiation of a small business, a medium-sized business, and a large business. A lot of people fail at that stage. They cannot remove themselves from the business itself. They become slaves to it almost. And other people make the other mistake is that they remove themselves too much and then they just let it die. Kind of, the person has to be involved to a degree.
Yeah.
But ultimately, whatever time is removed should be added on somewhere else.
I got you. Yeah, I think that is a big thing of learning how to just find that healthy balance. How much of myself can I give, but then at the same time, you mentioned another good point, the automation. How can I buy back my time? I can use tools and different resources to be able to free me up to be able to do a lot more things. And man, thank goodness we have so many different resources and tools now.
Tons of tools.
That's amazing, helping us be more productive. And I think now it's easier than ever to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's easier than ever. Like even just to start a small business. Back in the day, I feel like you needed a lot more upfront capital to be able to start a business. Now, I mean, you can start a business little to nothing.
In 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes, you got a business. You're a business owner.
Do some sign up forms online, and then AI will take care of the rest.
I know, right? So it's great, but it's also, it's just not about becoming an entrepreneur in 2 minutes, right? There's so many different components within that, right? You got to have the right mindset. You have to learn, organizational skills. You have to, the mindset is everything.
And the learning skills too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to constantly learn,
Constantly
constantly
learn.
look for new things, new tools, new opportunities. Always be humble, always be open-minded. If a
Yeah.
person is not humble, then he'll think he's already on top of the world and not failing to realize that he's just this tiniest midget in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And there's many, 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 many more things that he can climb onto.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, we mentioned earlier, becoming an entrepreneur can add so much value, to your family. You can add lots of value to your community, to your city. And, I think when you have a dream that's bigger than yourself and you're doing it for the right reasons, you can make an impact in the world, and I think, that's my mindset as an entrepreneur. How can I make the world better? Right. And so before you can get to the world, you got to start with yourself, I think. Right. How can I improve myself, make myself better? Right. And then you start to impact your own home. Right. Your home starts to grow. Your home gets stronger. You have a successful home. Then you can start changing communities. Right. Then from the community, you change cities, then change states. And, and then it grows. Now you're considered a world changer.
Right.
The world only changes when it starts within yourself. You got to change your own world first.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, life is a business of sorts.
100%.
Yeah, we even have these expressions like, I forgot now. I had something on my mind, like about how life is a business in a sense. So to be an entrepreneur, if you have that right mentality, you carry it over to your personal life.
Yeah.
How do you manage your relationships? How do you manage your network of people that you know? How do you deal with your own family members? A household is a business of sorts. And I think there's also a valuable lesson that you can carry back and forth between the environments, because just like in a house, you cannot be just too businessy. You have to have a heart and you have to have passion.
Yeah.
Equally, you should carry that passion out of the household into the business.
Yeah, sure.
A business without passion is not really a business.
Yeah.
You have to have humility, compassion, all the right things that would make you a good father, a good husband, a good mother, whatever your role in life is. You're at the end of the day, you're always dealing with people.
Yep.
And people tend to think they're dealing with money, and that's not the right mentality.
Yeah.
It's not the money that's being exchanged, it's the interactions between people that are being exchanged.
Absolutely.
So if you're improving the life of like you said, the community around you, if you're improving like that, that's the essence of what a business should be. How can I solve somebody's problem?
That's it.
What problem am I solving in life? And if you identify a legitimate problem that needs to be solved, and you put all your effort into it, that would, I wouldn't say ensure success, but highly increase the chances.
100%. I agree.
And same thing at home. You should be a problem solver, and you should do it with the right attitude, with goodness, not just cold-blooded. Let's build a family, and that's that.
Yeah.
How can the family benefit me? No. How can I benefit the family?
Sure.
My wife and kids. And sometimes that's easier. Not everybody does it, but it's easier to do it that way because, your own flesh and blood. And we have our natural tendencies towards our kids. But at the same time, not everybody even can do that.
Right.
People fail even to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But take that love and passion that you have for kids and for wife and think, hey, every human around me, that's my family member. We're all interconnected.
That's right.
I want to end off with one interesting thought that I read from, forgot the name of the book, but from one of my favorite authors, Ravari Kaplan. He was saying how we're all interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just simple math. If you take an average couple, husband and wife, typically, let's say, in order for society to survive, they have to have at least 2 kids. And that's scientifically proven. If you have less than 2 kids, population starts to plummet, that society will not survive. That's an unfortunate problem for a lot of Western culture today. They're not reproducing, and that's a problem. But besides the point, let's just assume everybody has at least 2 kids.
Yeah.
For every husband and wife, there's 2 kids. And then they will have at least 2 kids on average in a normal society. And sometimes it's more, but let's just say 2. So in one generation, you will go from 2 people to 4 people. The next generation, you go from 4 people to 8 people.
Yeah.
From the next generation, you go from 8 to 16, 16 to 32, 30 to 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024. To go from 2 people to 1024 took 10 generations.
Yeah.
Average generations between people, let's say 25 years, right? That's how long normally people start to have kids, to have 2 kids, about
Sure.
25 years. So that took 250 years to get from 2 people to 1,000. If you keep going with that progression level, in another 10 generation, you're at 1 million people.
Wow.
In another 10 generations, so 250 years apart, you go from 1 million people to 1 billion people.
Wow.
So in only about a span of 750 years, you should theoretically have about 1 billion descendants. So now go back in the clock, go back in time. So only 750 years ago, we should be theoretically all interconnected.
That's beautiful.
And right now, what, 7 billion people in the world?
Yeah.
So go back 1,000 years. Like there's like the chances of the all of humanity being one family is much, much, much greater.
Wow. That's
and
beautiful.
what's 1,000 years in the grand scheme of things? Not a lot.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It makes your mind kind of like.
Sometimes you got to zoom
Yeah.
out a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. This was episode 5.
Episode 5.
And we had this was a good opportunity for us to talk about entrepreneurship, and who knows, we may even jump back into this subject because it's so deep. There's so many different things and topics we can cover within entrepreneurship, and but we hope that you guys got something from it. We hope that there was some little nugget, something that you could pull from what we were saying today and to be able to apply it to your life. And if that is the case, share it with us. Let us know in the comments. Maybe you didn't get anything from it. Share that in the comments as well. And you can just put, I didn't learn anything, right?
We want to hear your feedback.
Yeah, that'll be incredibly helpful, right? But I think, I think you should have got at least one thing, right? Something small.
And in the coming weeks, we'll switch things up a little bit. There will be new guests, new topics, and definitely stay tuned, subscribe, follow, make sure there's notification bar, the bell, whatever it is,
All that stuff.
all those things to make sure you don't miss an episode. And let us know what you want us to talk about next as well. We're open to feedback.
There we go. All right. Until next time, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.